Good afternoon. This is a briefing on Hurricane Olivia. We have our speakers behind us today. We have Governor David Ige, Tom Travis from HIEMA, Dolph Demont from FEMA, Honolulu Mayor Kurt Caldwell, and we have an ad there. We have a Managing Director from Maui County, Keith Regan, will be speaking. We'll begin with Governor Ige.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. As you know, Hurricane Olivia continues to be a powerful storm, but conditions can change at any point. We do know that the forecast track varies, and every county may be impacted by Hurricane Olivia. We do expect strong wind in addition to rain and flooding as potential risk. High surf and storm surge. We are working federal, county, and state emergency responders together to keep our community safe. As you know, we are committed to protecting lives and keeping critical infrastructure operational to help facilitate recovery efforts after the impact. We have been in communications statewide with all the mayors, federal and county and state emergency responders to make sure that we can share information and plan together to keep our community safe. Just would want to remind the residents to pay attention that Hurricane Olivia continues to be a powerful storm and can impact in any county across the state. Again, we would encourage residents to keep their emergency prepared kit stocked with food and supplies and any medicine that they might need. We want to ask all the residents to stay connected to their county emergency management and civil defense. They will have the most current and accurate information. We do know that we are all working together, and as different needs occur in each county, we are all working together to provide assurances and work to make our community safe. And with that, I'll turn it over to Tom Travis.
Hold on, Tom, just a minute. We're going to ask you to step aside and speak for the television message.
I'm Tom Travis, Administrator of Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. The success that we have in responding to a disaster is in large part based on the response of the community. I appreciate the community's patience in preparing for the many disasters that we've experienced, even though past events have often been better than we had feared they would be. It's important that everyone has 14 days of food, water, and a tank of gas. If you haven't done that yet, it's time to do that. And it's also important that we don't fix on the forecast track. This storm could directly impact every area of the state from South Point all the way to the North Shore of Kauai. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dolph Demont with FEMA. FEMA is here in Hawaii working side by side with our county and state partners in emergency management. We're doing everything we can to prepare for the Hurricane Olivia before it hits. We're sending liaison officers out to each of the counties today. We have commodities staged strategically, water, food, generators. I have urban search and rescue teams and disaster medical teams. Everything is here on the islands. And so we're ready to go when it happens. So the main message I want to say is don't become complacent with this. This is a very serious storm. Take it very seriously. Listen to your local officials and have a plan. Know where to go and what to do. And turn it over to Mayor Caldwell.
Good afternoon and aloha. I'm Kirk Caldo, Mayor of the City and County of Honolulu. Just want to run down a bunch of things that we're working at the city level. Number one is we have an emergency proclamation drafted and ready to sign. We're going to withhold doing so until we get more information at our 5 o'clock update with the National Weather Service. We are working very hard to clear our streams all around the island. We clear them and they fill up with sand pretty quickly. We're out there again today and we'll be out there tomorrow. Because with this storm, whether it be a Category 1 or a tropical storm, the projection is a lot of rain. And whether it comes close to Oahu or not, as has been mentioned, the track could cover any one of the islands. What we're mainly concerned about for us is flooding along our streams and low-lying areas, both from storm surge and from rain, and therefore we are asking everyone to please pay close attention. We're also looking to identify shelters. We've now identified 7 shelters on city and county properties and 1 in a private organization. The reason for this is we don't want to overly impact DOE. They were so cooperative last time and provided 20 sites in their schools. And of course, it impacted the schools to some degree. And when we gave the all clear, we wanted to get the schools back up for the students to come back in. This time we thought we'd try to relieve some of that pressure. But it does lead to the question, should these shelters be necessary to advise people in the city and county of Honolulu to locate the shelters? The question is asked, should the schools be closed? And should our workers at the city level go to work? And we're going to reserve making that decision, at least for city workers and shelters, until we get that update at 5 o'clock this afternoon. And we may even delay it till tomorrow, depending, for this island, for the city and county of Honolulu. Our EOC will be activated depending on what we hear at 5 this afternoon. We may go into partial activation this evening and full activation tomorrow, but we're going to wait and see. I want to end, as been said by everyone else, and it's worth repeating. You know, a tropical storm is just as dangerous as a Category 1, and we don't know what it's going to look like as Olivia approaches the Hawaiian Islands. So please, folks, don't let your guard down, please. This is the purpose of press conferences like this. Be vigilant and be prepared. As we say, don't hoard food. Purchase what you need. Think about your neighbors, families, and friends, and make sure you have enough to keep you going for 14 days, and water. And, you know, we see people running off and buying, you know, cases of water. When you have some of the best water from our Board of Water Supply, it's been tested, rated, ranked, you know, so put it in containers you already have, fill up a bathtub, and that way you're not taxing yourselves. And finally, I just want to thank Governor Ige for calling us together. You know, after our VTC this morning, we had a smaller group get together, and we discussed things that we had not discussed before that I think help us be better prepared. You know, and that's one thing I think we're learning through his leadership to coordinate both on a county level with the state with the federal, and then with the private sector too. And I think it makes us better each time we go through this. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Keith Regan, Managing Director for the County of Maui. First of all, I wanted to just say thank you very much to the state for all the support, as well as our federal partners for being there as we go through this event and prepare. I'd also like to thank our NGOs that are at the table with us as we prepare for this event. Our departments have all been preparing for Olivia since last week, Friday. Of course, we have been sort of in preparation mode anyways because of Hector and then Lane, so this is just a continuation of the work we've been doing to prepare for those storms. Our EOC is activated at this time. It is going to be stood up. It is stood up. It will be operating 24/7 until this event is through. Red Cross has identified a number of potential shelters in the County of Maui in the event that we do need to open them should the storm require that. We do have members of the Urban Search and Rescue Team that are on Maui Island, and they are prepared to assist us in the event that we need them. Also, the mayor has prepared an emergency declaration and is ready to sign that declaration at the right time. The mayor is asking people to prepare. As the speakers before me have stated time and time again, it's important that you have the appropriate amount of supplies. 14 days of food and water is critical. We're asking visitors that are on the island of Maui to please don't go to the east side. Be very careful because that is where a majority of the impacts are estimated to occur. So please stay away from the Hana area until the storm is over and the air has been cleared. So with that, I just want to thank you very much for having me here today. Mahalo.
We have one more speaker. Dr. Kishimoto is here from the Department of Education, Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you. I wanted to just emphasize that the Department of Education will be working very closely with Governor Ige and all of the mayors and EOCs, emergency counties, that have been stood up to support all of our families and communities in ensuring that our schools can continue to be a resource and a hub in each of our islands. I do want to announce that tomorrow, on Big Island and Maui, we have canceled all after-school programs to start preparing potential shelters. We are also closing Hana School to make sure that that access road can be prepared for emergency teams to ensure that we have safe access for residents in and out of that area. With that, we'll continue to update everyone on a daily basis. Actually, twice a day, we are continuing to meet to make these decisions. Thank you.
And with that, we will open it to media questions.
Well, Dr.
Thank you.
Kishimoto, so just to clarify, the Big Island and Maui, just the after-school programs are your canceled.
Just
there will be a school day.
Yes, after-school programmings tomorrow are canceled, and we will make decisions on a rolling basis depending on how this storm continues to travel into our area.
Will that change from the 5 o'clock briefing that we'll get, though probably not?
At 5 o'clock, we will continue to look at whether there are additional decisions that we need to make. We make decisions twice a day based on an 11 o'clock meeting and a 5 o'clock meeting with our school-based leaders and our mayors. Thank you.
There's no one here from the National Weather Service, but can someone explain to me how a 230-mile wide storm can squeeze through a 29.6-mile channel with a 10,000-mile Haleakala on one side and a 13,000 Mauna Kea on the other? It's like putting an elephant through a Volkswagen car.
Certainly, I think, Wayne, I think the most important element to look at, especially when you look at the forecasted track, is as the National Weather Service likes to remind us that we shouldn't focus so much on the hard track that they try and project the eye of the storm to follow, that the impacts of the storm is much broader than the center of the storm. And oftentimes the impact spreads to 50, 75 miles away from the center. And that's why all of our preparedness are really looking at and anticipating what the impact might be in each and every county. As Superintendent Kishimoto had said, we're working county, state, and the federal government emergency managers, really evaluating what the forecast is, talking about the risk to the community, and then making decisions as we work through it to close schools or cancel activities in what we believe to be in the best interest of keeping our community safe.
Given all of the points that you guys have made about the track and how this is still a very dangerous storm, is the glass at least still somewhat half full compared to Lane in that we're looking at a course that's coming from the northeast to make landfall from the northeast, as opposed to from the south like Lane was doing specifically for Honolulu, for town here?
Certainly I think every storm poses a danger that we're all monitoring. I don't know if it's better coming from the south than coming across from the east side per se. Clearly, even though Olivia is a strong storm, it isn't as strong as Lane was. And as you know, I think part of the challenge with Lane was that it actually stalled offshore for a day or two, 18, 24, 36 hours, which really added to the amount of water we got, and flooding and the rain was a bigger actual impact than the wind itself. So, I think every storm is different. We have been preparing for all of the impacts: wind, rain and flooding, storm, surf, and surge in anticipation. And we do have plans on how we would respond to every situation, and it is different.
Just want to jump.
Sure.
Your question towards Oahu. So, as the governor mentioned too, Lane was a Category 5, and it dropped to a 3, and it was very close to Oahu. So, speaking as the mayor, we were very concerned about the strength of that hurricane. With Olivia, it's a Category 1 and seems to be weakening a bit. This morning I asked the National Weather Service, so do we need to worry on Oahu? And he said there are models that have it coming directly for Oahu. There's models that have it going even more south of Maui, more to the Big Island. So we take it seriously because, as we saw with Darby, we had major flooding here. H1 turned into a river, and Kalihi Stream turned into a raging river and flooded out our handy van facility and caused damage. So we take it seriously. I keep hoping it weakens quicker than it has, and that way it reminds me of Lane a little bit. I keep thinking it's going to get weaker, and yet it intensified a little bit yesterday, and now it's dropped down. So I wouldn't want to say that we're not worried. We're concerned, and we want the residents of this island to be concerned. And I just wanted to talk to when you talked about Olivia squeezing getting through the Ala-Nui-Haha Channel. I mean, we're lucky here on Oahu that we have these massive mountains in Mauna Kea and Haleakala that help break apart these storms. And as mentioned, both Darby and Ezell got ripped apart by Mauna Kea, and we're the beneficiaries of that. So and we've been told by the National Weather Service it's hard to predict, but as it gets close to these major land masses and very high mountain peaks, it's hard to say what's going to happen, but a lot of times it's positive for the entire island chain, although those communities in that area are going to suffer the consequences. Thanks.
What about roadways? Are we looking at possibly closing any concerns?
I think those will be evaluated as the storm impact happens. As you are aware, there are some ongoing recovery and repair that is in process now. I know that there are some sections on Hawaii Island, for example, that are under repair. And so my recommendation, again, is to stay tuned to county civil defense in the different counties, and they would have the current statistics and status on road closures and other specific activities.
Governor, those areas, especially on Maui and the Big Island, that were battered by Lane, is there anything being done specifically to help those particular? Certainly.
Regions? One of the reasons I signed the state emergency proclamation ahead of landfall was specifically to allow us to respond quicker. We have pre-positioned equipment and personnel along the Honoka'a coast on Hawaii Island, in and around Hilo, and especially for Maui County. As you know, there is only one Hana Highway and susceptible to landslides and other activities. So we are making provisions to have repair equipment and road clearing equipment in Hana with personnel ahead of the storm, so that should something happen, that we wouldn't be stranded without equipment or personnel to respond.
A question for FEMA for Dolph.
Yes.
Could FEMA's response to Florence happening on the East Coast? I understand you're saying we're sufficiently stocked and ready to go right now, but could your agency's response to that storm at all limit your ability to address Olivia, depending on what happens going forward?
That's a good question. We're stretched very thin in FEMA right now with about 4 hurricanes hitting the United States. However, we got the big jump on a lot of it because we were already activated for two disasters here. We already had food and water generators pre-staged prior to it. We brought the same teams back from California and that we worked with the last time, and we moved quickly. So we have everything we need to respond. We're in really good shape. We've got a great team. Everybody knows each other. And I would say no, we won't feel the impact from Florence here in Hawaii. I'd go on a limb and say that because we have what we need.
For Oahu?
Yeah, I just would like to add that Administrator Brock Long, Dolph's boss, has already reached out to Hawaii. He definitely is in contact with all of the governors of the affected states, and I appreciate FEMA being willing to lean forward and pre-position supplies and equipment ahead of landfall, and I'm certain that he does similar activities in each of the other states that are being impacted.
for Oahu, with the storm coming from the east, you've got the Kamehameha Ridge area that's open, not blocked by Koko Head or Makapu'i. Any concerns for that area?
Well, as we've been told by the National Weather Service, when you have strong winds coming from the east, particularly as it goes over the ko'olaus, on the downside it can accelerate, but it depends on where the low pressure is. And in this case, I'm not sure where the low pressure is below the island. And with Lane, it was, right? We had pretty strong gusty trades that ripped off 7 roofs and blew down trees. In this case, I think the pressure is above, so that impacts whether it accelerates even more. But yeah, we are concerned, and that's why we are having this press conference and asking people to be vigilant. And my hope again is that Olivia will, going to be downgraded to a tropical storm, and perhaps winds will be less, but you still have gusts at a a level enough to do major damage to roofs, and so we need to be vigilant and prepared. Okay.
Any other questions? We good? Yeah, all set?
All good, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.